10 mistakes you should never make when taking creatine. Creatine is undoubtedly the most popular supplement in the fitness world today, and for good reason. It is proven effective for increasing strength, muscle power, improving performance in high-intensity workouts, and accelerating muscle recovery. If you're one of those skeptics, you need to know that creatine itself does no harm to your body. However, unfortunately, there are 10 extremely common mistakes that most people make unknowingly when taking the supplement. And these mistakes, besides throwing away its potential, can be harmful. Oh, and just for the record, contrary to what many believe, it does not cause hair loss. Before we begin, please tell us through the comments your name and the city from where you're watching our content. We would love to know. Mistake number 10, taking creatine on an empty stomach. This is probably one of the most common mistakes and can completely compromise the results you're seeking with supplementation. When you take creatine on an empty stomach, your gastric lining is left unprotected, which can cause direct irritation of the stomach mucosa by the creatine. The result? Significant gastrointestinal discomfort, including nausea, abdominal pain, and even diarrhea in some cases. These reactions are not only unpleasant, but also drive many people away from supplementation, making them wrongly believe that creatine isn't for me, or that my body rejects creatine. Science clearly shows the correct way. Ideally, consume creatine after a meal, especially one containing carbohydrates. Do you know why? Carbohydrates stimulate insulin release, which in turn enhances creatine absorption by muscle cells. The best carbohydrates for this purpose are those that digest quickly, such as fruits, natural juices, white bread, or potatoes. These foods rapidly elevate blood glucose and insulin, creating a perfect environment for maximum creatine absorption. Number 9. Not increasing daily water intake. This mistake can transform a beneficial supplement into a problem for your body. Adequate hydration is not just a casual recommendation when talking about creatine. It's an absolute necessity to ensure both the safety and effectiveness of the supplement. Creatine works by increasing the availability of phosphocreatine in muscles, which helps in the rapid production of ATP, our main source of cellular energy. However, this intense metabolic process significantly increases the body's demand for water. If you don't compensate for this additional need, you risk dehydration, especially during intense workouts. One of creatine's mechanisms of action involves increasing water retention within muscle cells, the famous cellular swelling that many seek. This effect is extremely beneficial for physical performance and protein synthesis, but it means your body will need more water to maintain the proper balance of fluids and electrolytes throughout the organism. Additionally, creatine is metabolized by the kidneys and excreted in urine. Not drinking enough water can potentially overload your kidney function. Although studies show that creatine is safe for the kidneys in normal doses when accompanied by adequate hydration, it's not worth taking unnecessary risks with your kidney health. Number 8. Taking it mixed in smoothies or protein shakes. This mistake seems harmless and even convenient. After all, who wouldn't like to mix all supplements at once and be done with it? However, this practice can seriously compromise the effectiveness of your creatine supplementation. The fundamental problem occurs when you mix creatine in thicker liquids, like protein shakes or smoothies. In these beverages, creatine powder often doesn't dissolve completely. As a result, a significant amount of the supplement ends up settling at the bottom of the glass or shaker. And what happens to this undissolved creatine? Most of the time, it stays right there, stuck to the bottom of the container, and ends up being discarded when you wash the cup. This means you're not consuming the full dose you plan to take, wasting both money and potential gains. Creatine should be mixed in a liquid that allows complete dissolution, like warm water or fruit juice. Even then, it's essential to shake the container well until all the powder is completely dissolved, ensuring that you consume the total dose to maximize effectiveness. An interesting alternative, although not very common, is the method known as dry scooping, which consists of placing the creatine powder directly in your mouth and immediately following with a sip of water to swallow. This way, you ensure total consumption without waste. However, this method should be used with caution, as it may present a choking hazard or discomfort for some people. Number 7. Neglecting creatine quality. In times of economic uncertainty, it's natural to try to save a bit more. However, unfortunately, when it comes to creatine, cheap, can become expensive. The quality and purity of the creatine you choose are essential factors to ensure both its effectiveness and safety. High-quality creatine ensures that the product contains the correct amount of the active compound and is free from significant impurities. On the other hand, low-quality products, or those with inadequate purity, can cause a series of unwanted problems. The first warning sign usually comes in the form of gastrointestinal discomfort. Questionable quality creatine frequently causes nausea, stomach pains, or diarrhea, symptoms that many people erroneously attribute to creatine itself, when in fact they are caused by impurities or contaminants. Even more concerning is the possible presence of contaminants such as heavy metals or microorganisms, which can pose serious long-term health risks, including poisoning or infections. To avoid these problems, it's essential to buy from reliable and well-known manufacturers who conduct rigorous quality tests and guarantee the purity of their products. Always check the brand's reputation, read user reviews, and prefer well-established brands in the market. If you're torn between an unknown cheaper brand and a recognized slightly more expensive brand, remember, if there's no money to invest in good quality creatine, it's probably safer not to take anything than to consume products of questionable origin. Your health is worth more than any momentary savings. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to science-based information is what will help you progress with health in the long term in the bodybuilding world. Number 6. Not taking it during training breaks. Many people make this mistake thinking they're saving supplement, but in reality, they're harming their gains. It's crucial to understand that creatine works through a muscle saturation mechanism. It needs to be taken daily to maintain elevated levels in muscles. This means you should take creatine every day, including weekends, holidays, and especially during rest periods or when you need to take a break from training. Creatine works by accumulating in the muscles over time, gradually increasing your work capacity and muscle recovery. Suddenly stopping, even for just a few days, can significantly reduce creatine levels in muscles, making you lose some of the gains you've obtained with weeks of consistent supplementation. A study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research clearly demonstrated this point. Researchers followed athletes who continued taking creatine during a month-long break from training and compared them with those who stopped supplementation during the same period. The results were impressive. The group that continued with creatine maintained significantly more strength and muscle mass. The mechanism behind this is that creatine not only helps during training, but also plays an important role in muscle preservation during periods of inactivity. It maintains an anabolic environment in muscle cells, reducing the catabolism that normally occurs during training pauses. Number 5. Using the wrong dose. This mistake is surprisingly common, both for beginners and experienced users. Many people erroneously believe that, if a little is good, more must be better, and end up increasing the creatine dose, hoping for faster or more impressive results. However, the physiological reality is that the human body has a limited capacity to absorb and use creatine. There is a point of muscle saturation beyond which taking more creatine simply brings no additional benefits. It's like trying to fill a cup that's already full. More worryingly, excess creatine can overload your kidneys, which are responsible for filtering and eliminating what the body doesn't use. This can potentially lead to problems such as dehydration, muscle cramps, and in extreme and chronic cases, even long-term kidney damage. The correct dose of creatine varies from person to person, depending on factors such as body weight, level of physical activity, and individual metabolism. For beginners, following the manufacturer's instructions is usually a good starting point. When in doubt, consulting a sports nutritionist is always the safest option, as this professional can assess your individual needs and recommend the ideal dosage for you. Number 4. Choosing the wrong type of creatine. Many don't know, but there are different types of creatine available in the market, each with distinct characteristics. Making the wrong choice can mean inferior results or wasted money. Creatine monohydrate is, by far, the most researched and proven type in terms of effectiveness. It is known to significantly increase muscle strength, improve performance in high-intensity workouts, and increase muscle volume through water retention in cells. Due to its high efficacy and relatively low cost, Monohydrate is generally the best choice for most athletes and bodybuilders. On the other hand, variants such as creatine ethyl ester are often marketed with the supposed advantage of better absorption and less water retention, which might attract people who want to avoid the bloating that sometimes accompanies monohydrate. However, comparative studies show that its benefits do not consistently outperform those of traditional monohydrate. Other forms include HCl creatine, which is highly soluble in water and may be easier to digest for some people, resulting in less gastrointestinal discomfort. There are also buffered and alkaline forms, supposedly more stable in the acidic environment of the stomach. To choose the right type for you, consider your goals and individual needs. If you're looking for quick gains in strength and muscle volume with an economical and proven product, creatine monohydrate, the most classic version, is undoubtedly the ideal choice. Regardless of your choice, remember that consistency in use is more important than the specific type. Any form of creatine used correctly over time will bring benefits to your athletic performance. Number 3. Not monitoring side effects. Although creatine is generally safe for most people, ignoring possible adverse reactions can transform a positive experience into a health problem. A few days after starting supplementation, it's important to stay alert for any unusual changes in your body, especially negative side effects. Ignoring persistent stomach discomfort, believing that it will pass, can lead to more serious problems over time. Besides gastrointestinal discomfort, other possible negative effects you should monitor include frequent muscle cramps, signs of dehydration, sudden weight gain not related to increased muscle mass, and changes in kidney function. If you notice any of these symptoms after starting creatine supplementation, it's crucial to pay attention to them and consider temporarily stopping use. Persistent stomach discomfort may be a sign that your body is not tolerating the supplement well, or that the product quality is questionable. Cramps and dehydration may indicate that the creatine is affecting the electrolyte balance in your body, or that you're not drinking enough water to compensate for the increased water retention in muscle cells. A sudden weight gain, especially if accompanied by non-muscular bloating, can be a warning sign for kidney problems or excessive water retention outside of muscle cells. Changes in kidney function, although rare with normal creatine doses and adequate hydration, can manifest as swelling, unusual fatigue, or changes in the amount or color of urine. The solution begins with immediately stopping supplementation if you notice any of these symptoms, verifying if the symptoms improve with the interruption, and consulting a doctor to assess whether the symptoms are really caused by creatine or may have other causes. Number 2. Thinking you need a specific time to take it. One of the most persistent myths about creatine is that there is a magic window to take it, either immediately before or right after training. Many people believe it's crucial to take creatine at specific times to maximize benefits, but the scientific truth is much more flexible and comfortable. Creatine can be taken effectively at any time of day, as long as it's not on an empty stomach, as we discussed earlier. This is because creatine's mechanism of action involves muscle saturation over time, not immediate acute effects as occurs with caffeine, for example. Creatine levels in muscles increase gradually over days and weeks of consistent supplementation. Therefore, there's no need to be super precise about the exact moment to take it each day. What really matters is daily consistency, not the specific time. The ideal, as we mentioned, is to take creatine with a meal that includes carbohydrates and, if possible, some protein, to help with efficient absorption. This helps optimize gradual muscle saturation, which is much more important than the exact timing of ingestion. Some studies suggest small advantages in taking creatine post-workout compared to other times, but the differences are marginal and probably irrelevant for most non-professional users. So, if you forgot to take your creatine at a specific time, don't worry. Just take it normally that day, whether morning, afternoon, or evening, and preferably, as we've already mentioned, having consumed some carbohydrates before. Flexibility is your ally in this case, and this really helps maintain adherence to the supplement long-term. Number 1. Expecting instant results. We live in an era of instant gratification, where we expect to see immediate results in practically everything we do. However, when it comes to creatine supplementation, patience is not just a virtue, it's an absolute necessity. The effects of creatine on the body take time to fully manifest. This happens because creatine's mechanism of action involves a gradual process of muscle saturation, which does not occur overnight. Additionally, it's important to understand that each person responds differently to creatine supplementation. Factors such as genetics, regular diet, training routine, and how the individual body absorbs and uses creatine can significantly influence the speed and magnitude of results. Typically, people start to notice improvements in physical performance and muscle growth after approximately 2 to 4 weeks of consistent use. This time is necessary for the muscles to reach sufficient saturation levels to produce noticeable effects. If you've been taking creatine for just a few days or a week and haven't noticed differences yet, that's perfectly normal. Continue with daily supplementation at the recommended dose and give your body time to respond. Also remember that the effects of creatine are more evident during high-intensity and short-duration exercises, such as weightlifting or sprints. If your training doesn't include this type of activity, you may not notice the benefits as clearly as someone focused on strength training. And if you're still researching and have doubts about whether it's worth taking creatine or not, we've left a video appearing right now on the screen showing all the reactions this supplement can cause to your body if you're over 50 years old, both good and bad effects. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching this far, and may God bless you, my friend.